What's going on, MSFers? Duelim here, back again with another video. What today? We're going to be talking about ARES and all his essential T4s and ISO 8 class. So starting off, we're going to get into his speed. So he's not the fastest character, but again, he is a protector. So he's at 118 speed for a protector. That's not too bad. But honestly, his speed is not what makes him good. It's all about his passive, which we'll definitely talk about. But he's only got 4 tags, so he's Villain, Global, Mystic, Protector. And the common misconception of ARES is he is part of the Annihilators. He is not. He is a full plug-and-play character in War. So he is essentially a master key in War that can be put with any team, pretty much dropping the worst member of that team, like She-Hulk or Abomination on Gamma, Star-Lord Annihilation on Nowhere, that kind of thing, to bolster the team and make them better. So let's get into his kit. So for his basic, Sundering Smite, it does some good damage. There is a chain attack as well. You clear 1 positive effect from the primary and secondary. For the T4, it's just extra damage, and it's kind of meh, honestly. It's not that great at all, but obviously if you're getting the Awakened basic, you have to put the T4 on him, but even the Awakened is kind of meh. And I think the Awakened basic is one of the ones they're giving to us from the showcase, if I'm not mistaken. So I think people who are buying the pass are going to get that one, because I think you need 6 stars to be able to get this one, to get all the way to the end of the showcase. Next up is his special, Wrath of Mars. And it's pretty much just damage, and then you get a stun at level 5. The T4 is applying Disrupted to primary target. Once again, not the best. Not a great T4 at all. Applying Disrupted is kind of cool. I can see some uses for that, but again, it's kind of meh. But obviously, his Awakened, it will end up putting Trauma in War, and it's clearing all barrier on all enemies, which is a really big... a big stat boost there, because barrier is a big thing for a lot of teams that are really good in War. So you could definitely do this one. I know the Awakened is going to be, I think this one's going to be paywalled, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're giving the basic and the passive. But I think the special and the ult are more heavily paywalled by like offers or whatever it might be. But yeah, this T4 is also kind of meh, honestly. I don't see much use for it whatsoever. So I wouldn't put it on. So we're 0 for 2 on T4 so far with ARES. Next up, Furious Whirlwind. And this one does primary and adjacent damage, and it also puts an ability block on primary and adjacent, which is pretty cool. It does 2 hits, it applies bleeds, flip 1 negative effect and a positive effect on self as well. And then the T4 is going to be flip 1 negative effect and a positive effect. So that's not too bad, because it hits twice, I believe. But I think this only does it once, unless it does it per hit. I don't think so, though. I think it only does it once, because 1 negative effect, not for each attack. I think it would delineate that. This attack is unavoidable and cannot be blocked. It also drains as well, and it does some piercing. And then obviously, as you get more damage, it gets more drain, stuff like that. Now, for the Awakened, this one's pretty good, honestly. So this is going to flip 3 negative effects on self. And then it applies ability block for 2 turns instead. So you're potentially putting ability block on 3 people for 2 turns, which is really good. But again, I think this one is going to be an offer is the only way you get it. So only people that are like really into War, I would recommend getting this. And even then, I don't think it's too worth it. As for the T4 here, maybe. I mean, you could. I would say this might be better than the special and the basic. I mean, I'd say maybe it's like do the ult first, then the special, and then the basics absolutely last that you don't do at all. But that's before we're talking about the passive, so let's talk about the passive. God of War, so on spawn in War, after all the character spawn effects, copy and clear all positive effects from all enemies to this character. This clear cannot be resisted. So what this means is this is not stat reliant. This dude can be level 1 or whatever level you have to be to unlock the gear tier 4. He can be level 20, gear tier 4. And as long as his passive is unlocked, it does not matter at all, and it'll clear all of that. On turn, if this character has charge, gain 20% speed bar and lose 1 charge. While charged, non-mythic enemies cannot gain charged as well. So non-mythic enemies such as Black Knight is a big one there who can't gain charge. And then as you go down, on spawn gain Safeguard, clear revive once, clear charge. While charged, this character cannot gain stun. So this T4 I think is worth it, honestly, because, you know, obviously not being able to get stunned is quite good. But again, it's not a necessity. You can leave this dude alone and just not really build him if you're not that into war. Now, I will say the T4 here is probably going to be worth it because if you are getting the passes, you will get the passive Awakened, and the passive Awakened is pretty much what makes him really good in other places that's not just war. So my biggest thing would be using him in Cosmic Crucible, especially against like an Infinity Watch. He can do what APOC does. So you literally put him in and Infinity Watch will not spawn with Safeguard. So that means you could do ARES with Eternals to take out a pesky Infinity Watch rather than having to use an APOC there and not using APOC somewhere else. And this is not resisted either. So this is pretty worth it just for the Cosmic Crucible benefits. And also you have to remember, ARES is going to be a good counter to Gladiator right away because Gladiator spawns with immunity, defense up, and Safeguard, if I'm not mistaken. So being able to take that Safeguard right off rip is really, really good. And then maybe pairing ARES with like a big-time Spider-Man to put a quick Disrupted on Gladiator and flip that taunt could be extremely, extremely useful. But yeah, so I'd say for his T4s, we put the passive first, absolutely, then the ult, and then honestly, leave the special and the basic alone. Don't even do it. The ult, I would say, let's do the ult because it flips a negative effect and gets extra damage. But again, if you're super low on T4s, just do the passive. But yeah, I'd say passive number 1, ult 2, special 3, basic number 4, not that good at all. As for his ISO class, Fortifier is not a bad option, especially because a lot of people are going to be getting him slowly, right? So you're thinking at 3 yellow, 0 red. He's not going to be that strong. But as you can see here, there we go. As you can see here, at G18, level 100, blue ISO 5, he's got 3.2 million health. Okay? Now, we take him up to G19. 3 yellow, 0 red, 4.2 million health. And that's ridiculous for a character that is at 3 yellow, 0 red. So if you're seeing an ARES in war right now, be careful because they're pretty strong. So maybe Fortifier is not even needed. Maybe just do Raider because he does do a lot of damage. And then the ult hits twice as well, primary and adjacent, and then the special chains. So you could absolutely do Raider on him. It's probably not the worst choice here. And then also for his gear, let me show you here. So for his gear, he needs 3 pieces of Mystic. He is going to need a lot of Health Catalyst. So he needs 180 Health Catalyst, 500 CBCs, Crimson Basic Catalyst, and then he needs, obviously, Hammer Tech. I almost said Shield Tech. He needs Hammer Tech. So plan your gear accordingly, and what I've been doing for new characters is I've actually been going to the Dark Dimension Planner and making sure I have all the gear I need to take every new character up. But ARES is not going to be one of those characters, gents. You guys know me. I am not into war that much at all. I'm honestly going to take ARES to probably level 95, gear tier 18, and that's excessive, honestly. And just leave him there because he's going to be a walking passive for me in Cosmic Crucible, and I just want to make sure he doesn't die. And then in War, he's going to do everything he needs to do because his passive, once again, can't be resisted. So if you guys really want to find a skippable toon, this is the guy for you right here. Skip this guy. Don't worry about building him. Save your gold for Annihilators. You're welcome. But that's going to be it for this one, gents. I hope you guys enjoyed. But yeah, ARES, pretty skippable, honestly. don't really need much help from him. His passive is unresistible, so you don't need to build him that big. He's a walking passive, and in Cosmic Crucible, he's going to be pretty good because he's going to be able to take Safeguard from people or not allow them to spawn with Safeguard, so that's worth it. But other than that, Ares, not great. Don't bother building him. But until next time, this has been Duelum. Later, MSFers.